Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stokastic.com MLB Strategy Show. Final day in June. You know what that means, right? Doesn't mean anything specifically. What it does mean, though, is football's getting close. I'm actually really excited for this slate today. First glance, pitching kind of looked bad, but it's not. Oddly, you have a lot of mid-range pitchers that look good, but when I used to work at Sirius, when I used to do a show on Sirius XM Fantasy, essentially like the program director would tell you on July 4th. I remember because I've always loved baseball. I enjoy talking baseball still to this day, obviously. But July 4th would roll around and he'd be like, yeah, no more baseball, right? We were allowed to, so if it was a 2-hour show, right, 8 segments, you got commercials in there as well. A lot of commercials on Sirius, but you get the point. You were allowed to use one segment for baseball. On July 4th, still 2+ months out from the start of the football season, you were allowed to use one segment, like a 10-minute segment for baseball. The rest was exclusively football. So you know that's coming up soon. You just saw Jalen Ramsey and Minka Fitzpatrick swapped between the Dolphins and the Steelers. That happened moments ago. And now we've got a 6-game MLB slate. So let's make it happen. Glad to have you guys here. Jake, Keith, Steven, G. Joyner, everybody else I missed. Wookie, what's up, fellas? Glad you could join. 6-gamer. There's actually 8 games, but 2 of them are on that 6 Eastern time. 6:30 for one of them, which is odd. But yeah, I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And I got burnt. I was at the pool yesterday with the family, with the wife and the 2 girls, and was there a while, and I'm feeling it today. I feel okay, but that burnt feeling where your skin feels like leather sucks. But yeah, let's get into it. It was, Eric. I hope yours was good as well. Yeah, it was a long weekend, just like constantly moving around, which is, unavoidable with 2 young kids. I'll tell you what, better than sitting inside all day, like in the winter. That shit sucks. But no, yeah, we're here. Hope you guys had a good weekend as well. And I hope you'd be kind enough to atone for your sins this morning. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Both are entirely free to do if you think this content has helped you along the way, or it just helps you kill part of your morning or afternoon if you're watching or listening after the fact. Show some love. Like the video, subscribe. It's free. And of course, you can leave a comment down below if you aren't watching live so we know you exist, which is helpful. It's good to know you exist. Dude, I saw some tweet. You know how you get all these viral tweets from like morbid Twitter handles out there now that somehow just blow up. And it was like, yeah, this guy it's called locked in syndrome. I didn't even know what it was until I asked ChatGPT, and then I just got terrified. Got locked in syndrome from, a screwed up adjustment at a chiropractor. And I started reading about it, and man, did it set my morning off in the wrong direction today. Not great. Like your entire body is paralyzed, but unlike typical paralysis, you can't speak. You can't move any single part of your body outside of your eyes, but you're fully conscious. So like you're just a prisoner inside of a body that doesn't move, and you can look around, and your only way of communicating is to blink or look in a certain direction. Horrifying. That's what nightmares are made of. So I asked ChatGPT, I was like, this is rare, right? And she's like, I call it a she. I don't know where you guys are at. MLB to me, or I was looking at ChatGPT has to be a she. And she's like, yeah, 1 in every 3,000 people. And then I just panicked. So yeah. I told you, I'm telling you, it's scary, right? And I'm joking. It's 1 out of every 1.1 million. But still, it's horrifying. Terrifying stuff. Nightmare inducing. So let's change the topic and talk baseball. Don't start reading into locked in syndrome. I just told you all you need to know. Don't even bother. It'll scare the shit out of you. It's petrifying. So when I tell you guys today that this slate is actually pretty decent from a pitching perspective, I think first glance for anyone, and I mentioned this in our perfect lineup video that Josh and I do, that'll be out in about an hour. I think you look at it and you go, what do you mean it looks good? Because I get it. There's not a ton of just marquee pitchers on this. But at the same time, some of these matchups are really good. Some of these matchups are really, really good. And Eric, lucid dreaming is fun. I used to look into sleep paralysis. There was a time for like 2 years straight, I'd get sleep paralysis 2-3 times a week. You want to talk about something that'll drive you insane. Look into sleep paralysis. You're seeing shadow figures out the corner of your room, men wearing hats and shadows slowly lurking towards you and hovering over you as you're fully paralyzed. That's real, by the way. I used to get them bad, and then it just went away. I don't know. Maybe I started going to church more often, and that helped. But that shit sucks. But Crochet's 10-7. And he has some negative leverage in the tools. But it doesn't matter. I still assume that we're going to get it. It was not DMT, not your dimethyltryptamine, Lee. It was just straight. I don't know. I can't explain it to you. Can't explain it to you. Fully sober. Fully. I don't like hallucinogenics. My brain doesn't do well with them. I experienced some horrible stuff on mushrooms when I was younger. I mean, remind me to tell you guys one day. I got some stories that'll you talk about nightmares. Just frightening stuff happened. And I don't think it ever fully left me. So I have concerns that if I did it again, it wouldn't actually be therapeutic. It would be terrifying. But yeah, Crochet at 3-7. We're all over the map today. Welcome back from the weekend. Cincinnati has a 74 WRC plus against lefties, right? 74 WRC plus against lefties. And they've been terrible against lefties. 23% K rate on the active roster. I think, and I can already tell you guys this, I won't bury the lead today. A lot of times we like to have fun with it. We're getting to a ton of Crochet today. And I was just kind of like reverse engineering everything. And I was like, you know what? That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. 2 reasons. One, Crochet is like far and away just the best pitching option on the slate. You're talking raw fantasy points. I don't think it's really all that surprising to anybody. If you look at projected fantasy points as well, Crochet is at 21.36. The next closest pitcher at 16.3. That's crazy. All right, so that's one reason, right? Why I think we'd get a lot. That's one reason I think we'd get a lot. Johnny, sober but take no pride in it. Yeah, I mean, those of us who have had problems, you can't be like, oh, I'm sober now. Hey, look at you. It's like, I was just uncontrollably bad for a long time. And then I had to do this. I don't want to, but I have to if I plan on living. Drew Rasmussen, 16 fantasy points. Logan Webb doesn't project all that well against the low strikeout Arizona team. Not the best spot, but he's good. The other one, Carlos Rodon. Toronto has a 16% strikeout rate against lefties. Another thing, and this actually surprised me, I was looking at it earlier today. Toronto, believe it or not, has been shockingly good against lefties. Like, they have some of the best numbers in the league on their active roster against lefties this year. I knew they were decent. I didn't know they were this good. They're third in WRC plus. Only the Tigers and Yankees have a better WRC plus than the Toronto Blue Jays this year. They're third in weighted on base average behind Detroit Yankees and the Dodgers. Right? And they strike out at listen to this, 16.4%. There isn't a single team with a lower K rate against lefties. Now, Toronto is not a power-laden team. They're 20th in ISO against lefties. But still, this team puts the ball in play, and they got a few guys that can give lefties some real trouble. So I don't think Carlos Rodon's going to look all that good in this spot, honestly. That's why Garrett Crochet looks good. Now, the third and final reason why I think we're getting to a lot of Crochet, despite the fact that he's negatively leveraged, look at the implied totals on all of these teams in the top stacks tool today. There is not a team at 5 or higher. You don't have a single team at 5 or higher. So what is that? And there really aren't that many teams that you have to pay a premium for. There's a couple teams that have, a low value percentage. Arizona, you're not really looking to stack them against Logan Webb anyway. Athletics against Drew Rasmussen. I mean, I think that's fine, right? I think that's Drew Rasmussen's good, but the Athletics at the very least have some power. Now, oh wait, Johnny Smith too? Huh. And then the Yankees against Max Scherzer, making only his third start of the season. But aside from that, you don't actually have to pay a crazy premium. You really don't have to. And another thing is you can just pay down on pretty much any SP2 you want. If you look at it like that, SP2, man, all right, maybe you guys disagree with me here. I always welcome your dissent because it makes it more fun. But yeah, Power, I mentioned that a minute ago. Yeah, a player for player trade, 2 good players, no less. Clearly in the latter stages, or at least, maybe past their primes, but I thought the same thing. So here's what I'm saying. Look at the top 2 pitcher probabilities in the top pitchers tool today. You have Garrett Crochet at 36%. No one else is close. And this guy's also just a flat out stud. He has a 32% strikeout rate against righties. Right? So you're not like, oh man, Garrett Crochet has to go in there and face a bunch of righties today as a left-handed pitcher. Hey, that sucks. Yeah, he's going to face a bunch of righties, especially, you're including like a switch hitting Ellie or something. Probably only one lefty in this lineup. Hey, that's okay. Who cares? This guy dominates right-handed hitters, which is why he's been as good as he has been this year. Crochet's been a stud. You look at last start. The Angels can run out a ton of righties. 7 scoreless, 10 strikeout frames at Angel Stadium. Yeah, we'll take it. He's so good. So all of those reasons make him make sense. But what about the other guys here? I don't love Logan Webb here, and I don't love Carlos Rodon. I would much rather just get to a boatload of Crochet up top. And maybe things change throughout the day, but Crochet has a 7.5 K prop with heavy juice to the over. Some books like FanDuel have his K prop at 8.5. 8.5. I think the next closest is 5.5 for guys like Logan Webb and for guys like Rodon, unless that's changed. 8.5. I understand there's juice to the under on that, but you're talking an 8.5 K prop for a guy that is similarly priced to Carlos Rodon, that is similarly priced to Logan Webb. Very simply, he's in a league of his own today. Does that mean you have to jam him in every lineup? Honestly, no. But my preferred path in the event that I'm not doing that is probably just going to 2 mid-range or like a mid-range and a value pitcher. To me, that just makes more sense than, using Carlos Rodon as my pivot or using Logan Webb as my pivot. I don't think those are the necessary pivots. And looking at our exposures, I'm kind of vindicated in that thinking. Logan Webb has it's 3% exposure in our tools. 3%. Carlos Rodon, we're getting 4.7%. It's these other guys like Rasmussen and Corbin Byrne or Patrick Corbin, who, by the way, say what you want about Patrick Corbin. Actually, a pretty damn good spot on Patrick Corbin today. 5.5 strikeout prop. I don't know why this won't load. There we go. 5.5 strikeout prop on Patrick Corbin. Pretty nice. And the Baltimore Orioles have been, I won't say historically bad, right? But they've been abysmal against lefties this year. I mean, just flat out terrible against lefties this year. So, you know what? I think Corbin actually is very justified in us trying to get there. Same with Rasmussen against the Athletics. What about Jacob Lopez, though? This guy's got a 29% strikeout rate on the season. 29% strikeout rate. You got him sitting at a 7K flat price point. And then George Kirby. I know Kirby's only really kind of prolific strikeout game was earlier this month against the Angels. He struck out 14, right? Aside from that, though, the strikeout stuff hasn't been there. But I mean, if there's ever a spot where you could just get yourself back on track, you're at T-Mobile Park. It is the best pitcher's park in baseball. We already know that. That's not a theory. That's a statement, right? It's a statement of fact. 91% park factor in StatCast park factor. That's dead last. Strikeouts, number one in strikeouts is T-Mobile Park, right? So really across the board, this just plays so well for pitchers. And I understand it. I get it. It has not been a great season for George Kirby outside of, a select couple of games that you'd have to hand pick from a game log of like 8. Which, if we're being fair, he's only made 8 starts or 7 starts because he was on the IL. But most of them haven't been great. And even when he does limit runs, he hasn't been able to get a ton of swings and misses. I'm still a George Kirby fan. This is a guy who thrives on command and just really strong control, hitting his spots. Once he gets back to where he's got to be, he's going to be fine. $7,700. And Kansas City, while they put the ball in play and they don't strike out a lot, they have the lowest total of any team on the slate at 3.6, even lower than Cincinnati going against Boston. So, yeah, I have some interest in a sub 20% on George Kirby today. Call me crazy, call me dumb. I kind of like it. But I'm really not sure. And are you guys on the same page as me here? I know I see a lot of you throwing names out there like Lopez and Rasmussen, Michael Wacha. Yeah, I get it. Because you have all of these strange spots. As an example, right? No one's going to play Trevor Rogers. Trevor Rogers is facing a Texas team that has been so bad against lefties. I mean, I think they have a 69 WRC plus against lefties. Yeah, it's the worst in the league. It is the worst in the entire league. 69 WRC plus and a 25% K rate, which is 8th highest in baseball. Dude, if you were to tell me that Trevor Rogers goes out there and throws like 7 one-run innings with 5 strikeouts, it wouldn't be surprising. It's nuts. And he's getting no ownership. That's what I mean. It's deep because Jacob Lopez, and I get it, Jake said really hard for me to want to roster any pitcher at Steinbrenner Field. Yeah, I understand it. But you've got a guy at 7K flat with a 29% K rate. So, we absolutely have to take everything in context. Like, if you're just saying, well, the park, right? And then ignoring everything else. That's my whole point with George Kirby today. Like, on its face, do you love Kirby with the way he's pitched? No, but he's $7,700 in a fantastic park, and his opponent has the lowest total on the slate. I'm not just going to ignore that. You can't just ignore something like that when he's 7,700. And also, he has a really great track record of being a strong pitcher. Really strong pitcher. So keep that in mind for a second. But with Lopez at Steinbrenner Field, one, Tampa Bay has not been as good against lefties. They're very much middle of the road. So I think that benefits us there. They, 14th in K rate against righties. But against righties, they have a 121 WRC plus. Like, that's 4th best in the league. 164 ISO against righties. That's still top 10 in the league, or top 13. But you look at him against lefties, not quite as good. WRC plus for Tampa, 13th, much further down, 96 WRC plus, 305 weighted on base average. You're talking right in the middle of the league average. So I think Lopez at 7K, given that he has legitimate strikeout stuff, there's still, you have to at least put him in the conversation. Not to mention, he's been good. You look at the last 3 starts against Kansas City, 6 scoreless, 9 Ks. After that, against Houston, at the Athletics Park, which is tough to hit, or tough to pitch at, 6 one-run innings, 9 Ks. And then last time, in Detroit, against the best team against lefties in the league, the Detroit Tigers. The best team, one by far, 215 ISO, 135 WRC plus. Jacob Lopez goes out there and mows them down. 7 3-hit scoreless innings, 1 walk, 6 Ks, 103 pitches. So, Jake, I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is there's two sides to everything. And in this one, the one side is, hey, Tampa Bay, decent enough offense. Park sucks for pitchers. The other side is this guy has been dominating good teams recently. He shouldn't be 7K, and he has a near 30% K rate. So there's that. Michael Wacha is 7,200. Is Michael Wacha exciting? Nope. There isn't a single thing about Michael Wacha that's particularly exciting. But it's a great park. He's a good pitcher. He can pitch deep into games, and he has a 19% strikeout rate. So we're going to walk through every one of these pitchers right now. I'm not saying we have to, but I'm saying we could. And we'd be able to come up with some really encouraging aspects and some other things that just make them look bad. With Wacha, is the type of guy that, I know he's coming off a 9K game against, your Tampa Bay Rays, by the way. He's coming off some really strong games because he's a good pitcher. But he's also not an elite strikeout pitcher at all. Whereas Jacob Lopez has had, borderline elite strikeout stuff so far. He's just pitching in a much worse park. And they're nearly identically priced. Seattle Mariners against righties this year have a 21% K rate. It's middle of the road. At home, the Mariners strike out at the 3rd highest clip. How about that? Because it's like everyone strikes out more at T-Mobile Park. What about Chase Burns? Chase Burns came out, looked like he was about to break the slate in his major league debut. Looked like he was about to break the slate. I think through his first 3 innings, he had like 8 strikeouts and was just dominant early on. And then, you could see that this is a young pitcher going up against the Yankees in 90+ degree temperatures. But at 8K, is he viable here today against the Sox, who have a 4.4 total? I think so. I think absolutely. Another thing about Boston is without Rafael Devers, you got him against righties, different baseball team. 2nd highest K rate in the league on the active roster. 91 WRC plus. Bottom 4 in the league. Not very good. By the way, this should blow your guys. Actually, it won't blow your minds because we've been saying this all year. We've been saying that just rostering any pitcher against the Rockies is a cheat code because DraftKings still has not figured out how to price them right, especially at Coors. But the Red Sox have the 2nd highest K rate against righties, okay, on the active roster, 23.7%. The Angels are at 23.4%. Here, look, I'll see if I can pull this up for you guys. You'll appreciate this. Angels are at 24%, 23.4%. So you got all of that in there. You got all of these teams, 23, 22.9, 22.7. So look, everything is in this really tightly grouped area. What about the Rockies? Because remember, the Red Sox are 23.7. That's the 2nd highest K rate in the league. 23. What are the Rockies at? 24.2? 24.8? 27.7. I know they're not on this slate, but the Rockies have literally a 4% higher strikeout rate against righties than any team in the league. I don't know how that's possible. We are more than 3 months into the season and the Rockies have a strikeout. They have the 2nd highest K rate, essentially tied for the highest K rate at home this year at Coors Field. This isn't like a generationally bad team. This is a historically bad team in the sense of the modern baseball era, maybe baseball in general. I can't get enough of it. But anyway, back to what we were talking about here. Chase Burns against Boston. 91 WRC plus against righties. Not good. Really, they have not been solid at all. And they have the second highest K rate. So does Chase Burns by default at 8K flat, knowing this guy has legitimate strikeout stuff, does he just work his way into our pitcher pool? Because I think he should. And honestly, I probably would like to boost him a little bit more because I'm not getting to a lot of him in the Sims. But to me, he's just the type of guy that has electric upside on a slate like this. And the other thing about him is, if we were to consider the other pitchers that I think are viable, Rasmussen, Jacob Lopez, I think Patrick Corbin, very viable in a good matchup. Pretty much Michael Wacha, George Kirby, all of those guys, they all have the potential to just full out shit the bed as well, right? Like, let's not ignore that. All of these guys could end up being terrible. It's less likely with Garrett Crochet, obviously, but that's why we're paying for him. Kirby, 4.5 juice to the over. Patrick Corbin, 4.5 juice to the over, 5.5 on FanDuel, heavy juice in the under. Chase Burns, 6.5 here on FanDuel, 5.5 on DraftKings, minus 155 juice to the over. The concern you have with the Chase Burns is he's young. How long do they let him go into this game? Only threw 81 pitches last time out, got himself into a little bit of trouble, struck out 8. There's plenty of warts in a spot like this for a guy, Chase Young coming out, or Chase Burns. I keep calling him Chase Young. Chase Burns, sorry. But like 15.5 outs prop, you don't love that at all. But I think from like a point per dollar upside standpoint, Burns is probably number one on the slate. Because if he cruises and he's just punching everybody out with the pedigree that he has, they might just let him go 6 innings with double-digit Ks, right? You could see that. Or he doesn't get out of the 4th. I said this about him last start. We don't know the thing about him, though, too, is that he doesn't walk batters. For a guy that has such an unbelievably prolific strikeout rate at the minor league level, you would expect him to walk a lot of guys, and he doesn't. Like Mizralski, insane stuff. Also, he's going to have games where he walks 6 batters. Chase Burns didn't walk a single soul in his first start. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Anyway, this is our pitcher exposure. Right now, and you know what I'll do for you guys, because I think we all like to see this. I'll tamp down what I'm going to do. I'll tamp down Garrett Crochet to like 40% and see where it distributes everything else. I think it'll just be more of the guys we're already getting. We are getting to 19% Scherzer, which is a little surprising to me. He's 6,500. He's 40 years old now. 40-year-old Max Scherzer. With the Toronto Blue Jays going up against the Yankees in a divisional spot. It's kind of crazy. We're getting very little Kirby. I would have thought we'd get more Kirby. I'm not surprised by the small amount, the trace amounts of Carlos Rodon, Logan Webb, Ryan Nelson, I think Trevor Rogers is actually okay at 6,300. And I think Chase Burns is also at 8K somebody that I would like to get a little bit more of. But we're getting Corbin. I get it. Orioles have been awful against lefties. Getting a lot of Rasmussen. That's fine. I wish it was a little bit more spread out to some of these other guys. Let's do this. What happens if we, before I go to Crochet and limit his exposure, what happens if we boost Chase Burns a little bit? Let's give him a 15% boost, see what happens. Let me unfavorite these, refavorite. Go into our exposures. See if we're getting a decent amount. See, I'd be okay with that. Now you're getting like 13% Burns, 17% Waka, 18% Scherzer, 22% Corbin. Now he's in the conversation. He's living in the same neighborhood now. I'm all right with that. And it's not like we're doing anything to fully change stuff. Like you went from having none to 12, 13%. I don't mind that. Beezy, does Patrick Corbin suck again? He's a conundrum. He always is. Always. He sucks. He doesn't suck. He sucks. Who knows? Steven, the most pitches Burns has thrown in a game this season is 88. Thank you, ChatGPT. Well, yeah. 88's not terrible, but you'd want more. Like I said, Jacob Lopez threw 103 last time out. I don't know how many we're necessarily going to get from Scherzer. Would he throw 83 pitches last time? Yeah. So we'll tamp down and then remind me to actually readjust all of this stuff so we can see our stacks. Let's go into exposure caps and see what happens if we take Crochet and drop him to like 40%. Let's drop him to 40%. Adjust. This will readjust everything for us. We don't need to do anything. Get more Rasmussen. Wow. More Chase Burns. 25%. Corbin 24. Waka 20. Lopez to 10. Kirby to 9. So hold on a second. If I take the boost away then from Burns, does that mean we'd still get like 15% of him? Now I'm curious. Because he would have been the last guy I would have expected to get a lot more of. Without the boost, does he just come all the way back down? Let's see. Yep, see, 3%. So that boost made a big difference if we cut Crochet's exposure down. But if you cut it down and Chase Burns isn't boosted at all in the ROI, then he's still going to be one of the lowest exposed guys we have. Which, could end up working out really well. He's a young pitcher. We really don't know how long he's going to go here. And we don't know if he's just going to get hammered. But we know he's legitimately good. Interesting. Eric Webb smash. All right. I guess. I don't have a problem with Logan Webb. He's a legitimately great pitcher. And you look at like the Cy Young odds on a guy like that, I think they should be shorter than they are. He's good. 9,700 against Arizona. 4.1 total for the Diamondbacks. I could get behind that. Arizona striking out a little bit more than they did last year. They're a good baseball team, though. They're like, you look at them across the board, pretty much top 10 in every relevant metric. Top 4 in weighted on base average against lefties. 198 ISO against righties. It's 4th best in the league. 20% K rate is 20th. 9.4% walk rate, 8th. Like, it is actually not a good matchup. It's really not that great of a spot. And I know Logan Webb's strikeout stuff has been way better this year, which is amazing for a guy that's as good as he is, that was able to succeed without that. So now it just makes him that much better. But it's not a good spot. Eric, Lopez only 6% owned seems low. Well, I guess, but I just think I know I've said it a lot, but there's just so many other pitchers on this slate that are drawing that ownership. First of all, Crochet is going to draw a ton of ownership. He's going to occupy most of the ownership in the SP1 spot. And then you've got 11 other pitchers. And it's not like Waka, Corbin, and Burns are unowned. They're all, same with Scherzer, all hovering around that 10% range. Rodon 11, Kirby 20, Webb 22, Rasmussen 25. There's just not much else for it to go. Not many other places for it to go. Anyway, let's take a look at our stacks here. Oh, before we do, shout out to our weekend winners. I love seeing this. When I tell you these tools do absolute damage in some of these smaller fields or smaller stake stuff, look at this. From the weekend, Mini Max right here. Justin KD breaks. What a sweat, low owned rain delay. Stokastic Avatar, first place in the Mini Max. Another one, Velo, another one for the good guys. Shout out Stokastic, first place in the Mini Max. Dubs, first place in the Mini Max. Luis Daniel Aponte, thanks for Stokastic for the takedown, tied first place in the Mini Max. These tools do serious damage there. And as always, if you want to get access to them, you do not need to shell out a fortune. Two ways to do it, right? You want to get access to the sims, to the single lineup sims, to the contest generator, top stacks tool, top pitchers tool, all that. One, you could just DM me on Twitter or on Instagram, Laffy_D. My handle's right there under my name, LOUGHY_D. Hey, Laffy, can I get that code to get that big discount off the week or the month of sims? I say, of course you can. Nice to meet you. That's all you got to do. Or use the link in the description. Dude, this is no-brainer stuff right here. Even if you aren't interested in using the tools, but you think, hey, maybe they'll make me a better player and maybe they'll help me along the way and they'll help me develop my DFS game better, which they will. Look at that link in the description that says join any sportsbook, gets the Stokastic Sims free. See that? Right there? All you got to do is click that and follow those 4 steps and you're in. Click claim offer on any of these, any of our sportsbook partners, or pick 'em sites. If you're in a non-legal betting state, these count too. Click that, sign up, and deposit. You're talking a $5 or $10 minimum deposit. That's it. After you deposit, place a bet or set a lineup, as they call them, with the higher or lowers on these pick 'em sites. After that settles, win or lose, simply take a screenshot of that in your welcome email and send it to us at support@stokastic.com. Say, hey, can I get the MLB Sims for the month? You got it. Here's the coolest part. If you were to sign up for 5 of these, 4, 3, 2, 1, for every single one you sign up on, that is an additional month of Sims. And you can mix and match the sports in whatever capacity you want. That's it. It's that simple. Not to mention, don't look at this as a $5 or $10 that you have to spend. You're getting bonus bets on these sites. They're matching your deposits. You could outright just win your bets and build your bankrolls there anyway, plus the free month of the Sims. Worst case scenario, you lose your bets and you still got the Sims for months on end. I know people that have free rolled 6, 7 months of the Sims. Someone just the other day, Mark P, the other week, took down the 30K, 17K and was like, dude, I signed up on Chalkboard for $10. So check it out. Link down there. Simplest way to do it. Click claim offer, follow those steps. Email our boy Ron. He's great at getting back to guys over there and answering, getting them set up with it. So let's talk stacks. And like I said, or just DM me if you want a promo code. One or the other. We'll get you in. 5 stack exposure. We've got, who's at the top? Who is it? Texas? Oh, yeah. Texas against Rogers. I get it. Rogers had a good start last time out, but this guy, who knows if he's going to even stick around in the rotation. Texas is a team that has genuinely kicked my dick in all year, metaphorically speaking, of course, all year long. Whether I'm stacking them, stacking against them, every time I stack Texas, it just so happens to not go well. And honestly, it shouldn't be that big of a surprise. This team sucks. For real, especially against lefties, they suck. That's why I said Rogers is good. But one of the reasons, and I know this is all accounted for in the Sims, and one of the reasons why I'm never going to argue it that much, is you look at the team totals today. There's no Dodgers at Coors, right? There's no Angels Athletics game with a 12-run total in Sacramento or wherever it is they play now. Sacramento, right? There's no even Great American Ballpark game in the dead of summer coming off a rainy day and the humidity. There's no Citizens Bank Park game. There's no Yankee Stadium game. Like, yeah, some of these parks can be beneficial, but there's nothing crazy. And there's also no just like flat out garbage trash pitchers. So look at the totals. Kansas City, Cincinnati Athletics, all sub 4 against pitchers. We're entertaining all three of those pitchers. Toronto and Arizona are going up against Carlos Rodon and Logan Webb, respectively. You've got Seattle and Kansas City at T-Mobile Park, terrible hitters park. This isn't to say you can't get to some Seattle against Waka or even Kansas City against Kirby if he sucks again. But you see where I'm saying? Like, Texas, they're right in the middle. Boston against Chase Burns. Burns might strike 10 of them out for all we know. Or he unraveled, but still 4.4 total. Baltimore against Corbin. Baltimore has been dog shit against lefties. Terrible. San Francisco against Ryan Nelson, not a bad spot. Tampa Bay against Lopez. That could end real poorly for Jacob Lopez. Could also end poorly for the Rays. And then the Yankees against Max Scherzer. Nothing pops off the page. So you know what's going to stand out in spots like this? This is a very roundabout way of me saying the value percentages. We're paying for Crochet. Texas has an 18.7 value score. Baltimore against Corbin's up there. San Fran's up there. Boston's up there as well. The difference, though, is that those teams have a lot of ownership. Texas is the 7th highest owned stack. Positively leveraged, and a top 3 stack score. So, yeah, hold back the bile. Keep the puke inside. You got to just choke this one down. It sucks, but it is the way it is. And how many times have we, I guarantee I could say this and a lot of you guys would agree with me in chat. How many times have we, and I say we because I've done the same thing plenty of times, second guessed the Sims runs, made wholesale tweaks or big changes to a stack or a pitcher, and it ends up just being the worst move we could have made, and you sit there with your head in your hands at the end of the day going, motherfucker, I should have just left it alone. You know, it happens all the time. Now, it doesn't mean sometimes you're not going to be right. But also, baseball is an odd sport. The variance is wild. It's unpredictable. And any team can go out there and put up a strong game on any given day. Even the well, maybe not the Rockies. But any team not named the Rockies, they're in a league of their own. And by a league of their own, I'm talking single A baseball is where they belong. But aside from that, it's true. Baltimore against Corbin, perfectly fine with that. We're getting like 17 total percent. San Francisco, good amount of them. We're actually really spread out outside of Texas. And for what it's worth, it's not like we're getting a boatload. We're getting like 25% Texas here. Here, let's look at our total stack exposures in the exposure caps here. It's probably like 25% Texas. Yeah, it is. 25. So it's not, look, 18% Baltimore, 15% San Francisco against Ryan Nelson, 15% Cincinnati. That's crazy. I kind of love it, though. Saying, all right, you know what? In our non-crochet lineups, we're getting a lot. Let's go Cincinnati. I kind of love it. Tampa Bay, 15% against Jacob. Okay, cool. 15% Boston. We're all over the place, and I love that. The spots we're not getting, Arizona against Webb, Toronto against Rodon, fine. Kansas City against Kirby, 6%. At least we're getting something. Yankees against Scherzer Athletics. Who do they have? Rasmussen? Yeah. And then Seattle against Waka. I actually like that. I actually really like that. What do our lineups look like? Crochet, Rasmussen, 5-2, Texas, Tampa. Crochet, Rasmussen, 4-man, Texas. Kirby Corbin, 4-3 Yankees Reds. That no one's going to play that lineup. That's insane in a good way. So you've got, you're not only fading Crochet, but you're stacking against it. Love it. All right. And yeah, by the way, if you guys don't mind, take a second, tap that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Goes a long way for me. I appreciate you for it if you haven't done so yet. See if we got any home run plays on the board today. Oh, we're almost at 100. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Try Portfolio EV and all these tools out for yourself for a week too, if you haven't yet. Link to that's in the description. Where it says, try out Portfolio EV for a week. Yeah. Why not? All right, here you go. Tyler Stevenson, 8-1. You don't love the matchup, but you love the odds. We've got the true odds at plus 659, 18% edge there on BetMGM. Really significant. Look at the sharp book, like a circa plus 575. FanDuel's at 6-1. DraftKings at plus 650. That's actually, those odds, even if you're against Crochet, those odds are going to move. Guarantee it. Marcelo Mayer. Here's another spot. Is he going to be in the lineup, we think? I don't know if he will. Anyway, that's against Burns. 5% edge, 8-1 on ESPN. Again, look at the odds on some of these other books. Those are the only 2+ EV spots. Let me go into the top bets tool where the real magic happens. Because you guys know you can adjust your portfolios to only make sure you're getting profitable bets, historically profitable, within the Portfolio Lab. I demoed that for you the other day. Very cool. But for some reason, my computer is just slow as shit today, and I'm not sure what it is. Maybe I left it on accident over the weekend, and I got to restart it. But yeah, you can try it out for yourself, as always. You don't have to wait for me to throw some up here. You don't have to do, Harold, I'm not on DK main, but does anyone like Andrew Heaney versus St. Louis? You know how I typically feel about pitchers against St. Louis, especially on a slate like today. And this isn't to say that Heaney's not a good pitcher, but St. Louis just does such a good job of, they're not great, they're not bad, they're just there, and they put the ball in play, and they cause a lot of problems. Cody Bellinger. Here we go, fellas. Let's plug this one in right now, as a matter of fact. Cody Bellinger against, this should be fun, against Max Scherzer. This is in the top bets tool. So what I've done is I know that home run props on DraftKings are profitable historically with a 3 OS rating or higher. So I've got them locked in there. This has a 5 OS rating, 9% EV in this spot, plus 550 there. And you're going to see that some other books have it nowhere close, circa plus 430. Some of these other books are nowhere close, but it is plus EV in a few spots. Bellinger plus 550 today. Grab that one against Scherzer in Toronto at the Rogers Center. Scherzer under 5.5 Ks against the Yankees. Here's another one, BetMGM. Only on BetMGM. So there's a couple there. I mentioned Stevenson for you guys, but I like this Bellinger home run prop here. 5.5-1, 9.3% EV against Scherzer. We have really no clue what we're going to get out of Scherzer today. I like that, especially knowing that some other books are way off from DraftKings and some other spots in the market. So yeah, let's do it. Anyway, check it out. Your first week's free. Learn how to bet the smart way, especially with baseball here. Plus EV market-based betting is the way to go, man. And wait till basketball rolls around and football. We'll be swimming in it. Anyway, you guys are the best. Have a great rest of the day. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Another big slate tomorrow. And then hopefully some day baseball on Wednesday and Thursday. We redo the bulk of our damage. Hit me up on Twitter. You follow me at Lafayette_DR on Instagram. You ever have any questions, guys? Despite the fact that I'm being swarmed by these fucking bots that nonstop are just creating stupid groups and nonstop, I'm going to leave them open. because anytime you guys have questions or whatever, I'm happy to answer them. But anyway, hit me up, say hi. We'll talk. We'll shoot the shit. We'll talk baseball. Join the Discord if you have the tools or you're checking them out through that link. Join whatever it may be, and we'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning, live before lock tonight. Make sure to tune in for those guys as well. They'll get you set for the start of this slate. Peace.